All right, today we're diving into something huge, a massive shift in how we actually get work done. I mean, forget about giving text step-by-step instructions. We're talking about a whole new era where you just state your goal, your intent, and the AI figures out the rest. So, how does that even work? Let's get into it. Okay, so let me just throw this out there. What if one single AI system could replace Zapier, Notion, and even big chunks of your dev workflow? Seriously, think about all the time you spend gluing different tools together with something like Zapier, or organizing everything in Notion, or waiting on your dev team for a script. Now, what if you could do all of that with just one command? It kind of sounds like science fiction, right? Well, stick around, because it's a lot closer than you might think. So, to really get why this is such a game changer, we have to be honest about something first. The way we do automation right now, it's kind of broken. Yeah, it promises to make our lives easier, but a lot of the time, it just ends up being a massive headache. And here's the bottom line, right? The automation tools we have today are just slow. They're super rigid, and they just can't keep up with how complex our work has become. And look, this isn't just a small annoyance. It's a huge drain on our time, our energy, our resources. Every little thing needs a new setup, and if one tiny part of the chain gets an update, poof, the whole thing can break. I mean, just think about your own workflow for a second. You're basically forced to be a plumber, right? Manually connecting every single app and API, and then you have to put on your programmer hat, carefully writing out the logic for every single step. And then, because let's be real, something always breaks. You've got to become a detective, digging through error logs, trying to figure out what the heck went wrong. It's just constant manual work. Okay, but what if we could just throw that whole model in the trash? Let's talk about a completely new way of thinking, a way that moves us away from giving detailed instructions and towards simply defining our goals. So picture this for a second. Instead of telling the computer how to do a task, you just tell it what you want to get done. You know, something like, hey, create a full research report on the quantum computing market and then turn it into a video presentation. That's it. You just state the goal and the system figures out everything else on its own. All the steps, all the tools, everything. And this isn't just some far-off idea. This is actually happening right now by combining two really powerful AIs. You've got Claude Code, which is like this brilliant strategist that's amazing at planning and writing code, and then you pair it with something called AntiGravity, which is the powerhouse, the engine that actually does all the heavy lifting for you. You know, the easiest way to think about this is like a brain and an engine working together. It's a perfect partnership. One does the thinking, the other does the doing. Let's break down exactly how that works. So on one side, you have the brain. That's Claude Code. It hears your goal, figures out all the steps needed, and then literally writes the code to make it happen. And on the other side, you've got the engine, AntiGravity. It just takes that plan and executes. It connects to whatever tools it needs, runs the code, and here's the best part. It handles the errors automatically. You don't have to fix a thing. So what's the result? Well, it means no more building those clunky manual workflows, no more dragging and dropping little boxes, no more step-by-step setup. You're totally out of the weeds. You can just focus on the big picture, on the goal itself. Okay, that all sounds amazing in theory, right? But what does this actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's walk through a real example of how this thing takes one simple goal and turns it into a finished product. So what we're talking about here is something called goal-oriented automation. And the most important word in that phrase is independently. The AI isn't just waiting for your next command. It's actually making its own decisions, planning its own path to get to the finish line you set. Okay, so check this out. Let's say your goal is just build a content pipeline about a new topic. That's it. From that one sentence, the AI just takes over. It starts by researching the topic online. Then it writes a full-length article based on what it found. But it doesn't stop there. It then turns that article into a nice-looking PDF. And it's still not done. It generates a video script from the article, and to top it all off, it even creates thumbnail images for the video. The entire process. Done. Automatically. From one single goal. When you see something like that in an action, it really hits you. This isn't just a slightly better way to automate. This is a fundamental change in how we work. Period. This really gets to the heart of it. The old way was all about using tools that just followed our instructions, step by step. The new way? We're working with an AI that actually gets what we want, and then it decides the best way to make it happen. You're not the one pushing all the buttons anymore. You're the one setting the destination. That's where your value is now. Let's be really clear. This isn't just another automation tool.
This is the future of how work gets done. Our jobs are shifting away from doing the nitty-gritty tasks and towards setting the high-level strategy.
So that really leaves us with just one big question to think about. If you had a system like this, one where you could hand off a huge, complicated project with just a single sentence, what's the first thing you'd tell it to do? What's the first big goal you would give it?